Welcome back to episode 2, and I just got to tell you, it just stays the same from here. For this episode, I got to talk to Jesse Pimpinella. He's a stand-up comic. I met Jesse when I saw him doing stand-up in downtown Columbus, and I asked him to do the video version of the Dallas show, and when he agreed, I got him drunk on so-so vodka on camera, so I knew I just had to ask him back to do the podcast. This episode was a lot of fun because I got to listen back and listen to me talk about comedy and mental health with Jesse and explain to him why it's important, even though he does it as a job. So I mansplained comedy to a comedian in real time. So that'll be fun for you guys to listen to because I have no self-awareness, which is incredible. So I hope you enjoy this episode. Again, if I offend you at all, you can just find me on Twitter like normal. My name is Pampaw Scroat. Enjoy.
Dude, just get better. That's all that's important to me right now, because with this stuff, I mean, it's crazy. We just don't know anymore with everything. We just what's going on, what's happening.
Yeah, it's been wild. All right, Jesse, we'll talk about it a little bit more. Welcome to the Dallas Show, the podcast, where we took the Dallas Show and just made it a podcast. Today I'm talking to Jesse Pimpinella. Jesse, hi.
Hi, hold on one second. I gotta change my. I figured out how to change my name at the bottom. I'm technically.
Oh, nice.
I'm technologically smart every once in a while. I'm technologically smart.
Awesome. You're the first guest on the Dallas Show that is done the video and the podcast now. How does that feel?
I feel like it's gonna be like SNL. We're gonna start the First Timers Club. I'm gonna be in the club, and everybody else needs to get to my level. But by the time everybody else gets to my level, I want to be 80 timer. Okay? Can you get?
I was gonna say, yeah, you'll be 14 times. There's no vodka this time though.
No vodka.
So
well, that's
you
good.
don't have to worry about that.
Last time y'all were worried about me.
That was what a wild time. Well, and you were the very first episode we shot, so we were like, I don't know how it's gonna work.
I'm
but I think it went well. And then we also thought we could do 2 in 1. I'm really bad about even this podcast. I was like, we could do 2 episodes in a night, like back to back. It's just sitting and talking. False. I am so just done by the end of like 1. I'm like, I feel whoever I talk to next is just gonna not have a great time.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we talked about it a little bit. How have you been keeping up with COVID? Maybe that's the title of this podcast.
Keeping up with COVID. It's the Scandinavian version of Keeping Up with the Kardashians.
There we go.
That's what it sounds like.
That's
the COVID family's here. My God.
Yes. Derek COVID.
But I've been surviving. So I mean, right before COVID, my fiance moved in with me finally. So we really were testing to see if we really were till death do us part. For a while, I was scared because I annoyed the shit out of her. I thought till death do us part was a dare and a challenge. she's like, bring it on. And I'm like, but we're good. We're good. Things are getting weird sometimes with us, especially during these times. I mean, I started getting attracted to her nose cleavage with the masks. I didn't know you can. Did you know you can get attracted? Like, look, it's like, see that? Look how sexy that is. Like, just like,
oh my God.
It's a little peek. Like, I feel like I haven't seen her face in forever. So it's like,
what about like a face shield though? It's still just a face. Have you seen the face shields?
Every time I see a face shield, I'm gonna be like, all right, where's the car? Let's work on this shit.
I know. I'm like, why are we welding during the apocalypse? But it's fine. Whatever it takes.
I love it. It's great. And then you have what I like to call the stick up masks, the ones with the bandanas. They're like, all right, we're going into the bank. Give us all your money.
Yeah.
Like,
there's a lot of people that come into the bakery that come in and they're like, okay, here's what I have my face covered. It's fine. I was like, you're disgusting. Please, just go do something else.
Oh my!
You don't need.
I love how this is a state of the art virus protection.
Yep. Then they use that hand. To hand me money. So
the hand protects from airborne viruses. Sexual viruses, it protects it entirely. Like,
that's wild.
It's crazy.
You just have to put your hand over it.
Yeah.
People should. Things we've learned in COVID.
You have a solo night, and your hands protected. No sex.
No sex. Speaking of no sex, so you just recently shot a special.
Yes, I did.
Has nothing to do with it.
No. Those two are very mutual. Those are very mutual things.
Oh, good. I took a shot in the dark and it worked.
You were doing so much work. We had to do so much. I didn't have time to sleep, drink, or anything. Like it was insane. But yeah, that was my life.
Yeah.
Getting that
So
special.
what was that? What was that? Because was that your first special?
Yeah. It was my first comedy special. It's entitled Jesse Pimpinella, The Hot Mess, and it's a lot of stories from just my social awkwardness, anxiety ridden craziness. I because nothing is ever a straight shot for me in life. It always has to take crazy turns left and right. I was never the in my family. Everybody went from point A to point B with simple
Yeah.
tasks. Me, it's point A, but now I got to take a detour over here, then stop down here, then go here. What am I doing? I'm panicking. Oh my god, anxiety. I'm a procrastinator.
Yeah. That's awesome. I mean, not that your mental illness is great.
You know
I
that
feel
mental
for you.
illness you have, the depression and OCD? You keep doing that, kitten.
If I can use that as my fuel to be funny, it will be fine, Mom. Um, you shot it last year, right?
Yes.
In October.
Yes.
So is it out? Like, can people see it?
No, it
Like,
got slowed down the post production. So my director Harrison Poole and producer Matt Onesti and the opener Johnny Lee Dam, my mentor, we put this whole thing together and what happened? The show went off perfectly. We did two shows one night. It was awesome. We did it in a giant sky rise in downtown Youngstown, Ohio, my hometown,
nice.
and then we were like, all right, we're going to take the winter off. And then come this spring, we're going to hit it hard. And then COVID
Oof.
hit. My director got COVID, but he's all right now. He's all right. My one buddy, he's immunocompromised, so he can't edit it. So right now, we're trying to edit this from 3 different cities over Zoom. As you can tell, it's not very easy, but I'm not rushing this because I waited 8 years to film my special, 8 years to put everything together. And so, what's another year? I can wait. And what's good is my material, it's timeless in the sense that there's no topical jokes, there's no political
Hmm.
jokes, there's no nothing. They're just stories about my life. So those are going to be the same the way now than they're going to be next year or last year. So it's all going to be good.
Yeah, and I was thinking about that, like, as specials, like once things start opening back up and comedians can start doing specials again, like the next 2 years, it's just gonna be COVID
Yeah,
material. It's just gonna be the same specials over and over again. So, I think it's interesting. It'll be fun to watch how different people do different things with it. I mean, I feel like comedy. There's a lot of times where it feels like how many specials can Netflix put out, where it's
yeah,
just like comedy special, comedy special, comedy special. But I think, I mean, with everything that's going on, I think it kind of opens a door for people to get more creative
yeah.
and kind of put a spin on everything else. So,
I'm.
I mean,
I advise anybody when we talk about COVID jokes, because I'll do COVID jokes in my act right now when I'm outdoors. I do
mhm,
outdoor shows, and I'll do like 2 or 3 at the beginning, and after that, I don't touch on it ever again, because I don't want it to just beat a dead horse or become, oh, he's the COVID-19 comedian. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
because I mean, you want to touch on it just so that it's not awkward, because it's awkward. We're all sitting in
yeah,
a field. Everybody's wearing masks. It looks like a shitty family reunion. Let's call it what it looks like, and then we move on.
yeah. Yeah, I think we went and saw Mad Lab has a production right now where it's like socially distant theater,
Mm.
where all of the plays are socially distant, and there's one that takes place like in the future when COVID has like been around forever, and it's like how people dine in restaurants now, and like halfway through, it's like it's written really well,
Uh-huh.
and it's really funny, but then at the end you're just like, oh God, we're so close. It feels like we're so close to that.
Yeah, that's
Where
when.
like they have lines where it's like, oh yeah, when all the birds died, and I was like, I mean, how far are we until all the birds die? Like, nothing seems impossible anymore.
When comedy becomes a soothsayer. That's a very scary
Yeah,
thing.
yeah. You're like, oh no. Um, so kind of diverting away from COVID. I feel like all these interviews start with like, how have you been during COVID? And then we talk about COVID for an hour. We'll get away from COVID for a
Go
little
away.
bit. So let's talk about, you were recently in Apathetic Epidemic,
Mm-hmm.
which is an Amazon Prime
Yes.
movie.
Mm-hmm.
How did you get involved with that?
So 2 Christmases ago, uh, I was asked to do a show in Youngstown, Ohio. There's this Youngstown director, and he wanted to put on a big show and to raise money because he had a couple things he needed to finish shooting that he hasn't got a chance to finish. So we did a comedy show at the comedy club in town, and we did this big show. It was a great time. I got to meet the director. Really really cool dude. His name is David Solomon Abrams, and it's starring a lot of comedians. And the movie's about kind of like what happens when we all become desensitized to, terror and awfulness in the world. Like there's scenes where so my scene that I'm in the movie, I'll explain how I get in the movie eventually. I like to tell a story. I like to tell a flashback, then a flash forward, and then we're gonna do a reminisce. It's all over the place.
It's almost like your job is storytelling.
This is
It's almost as if
this is like Mementos, all right, but poorly written.
Yeah.
Okay, the story I'm gonna tell. Christopher Nolan's like, my God, I want to punch Jesse in the face. So, so essentially, I'm gonna use my scene as an example. I'm sleeping in bed, and all of a sudden I hear an explosion. I just turn over. I hear it, but I turn over. I just ignore it. I hear another one. I turn over, and I'm like, ugh. I put the pillow over my face because I'm gonna ignore it. And then I hear one giant bang, and I go out to the window and I go, "Shut the fuck up!" And because it's just like white noise in the city no more. We're so used to all these terrible things.
Mhm.
So how I got the scene was they needed to reshoot that. So after we raised money for the comedy show, they called me 6 months later and they're like, "Hey Jesse, are you doing anything this weekend?" I'm like, no. Do you need another comedy benefit for us to put together for a budget or whatever? And he's like, no. We need you to shoot this scene. Can you do it? And I'm like, fuck yeah, I'm gonna do it. You know what I mean? So I'm like, I got there and it was weird because like I walked into this director who I've only known via Facebook, right? So I walk in to his apartment where we're filming it, and we go into the bedroom, and the bedroom lights, cameras, and everything. And I'm like,
You're like, I've seen this movie. I've seen this movie
like,
multiple times, different people.
I'm like, all right, I ain't gonna make another casting couch joke. You know, I'm on this end of it. Jesse, do you want to be famous? Do you want to be in an Amazon Prime movie? No,
I do.
and that's why I said yes. But so it was an independent film, and I love independent films because independent films, in my mind, means it has a low budget, so that means the writing, the acting, the directing, it's got to be wicked sharp to be a success. You know, a lot of these action movies nowadays with these big budgets, I mean, they're going to get people with the pyrotechnics, the CGI and stuff. It's going to amaze people. They're going to love it. They're going to watch it. But to see somebody come up with an original idea that's on the shoulders of all the players in the movie, as well as the director and the writer, to me, it's like watching live theater on your screen.
Yeah.
There's nothing better. It's magic at that point. It's purely true magic. And so it was a good time. Filmed it. I got to curse. One of the goofy things about it was when shooting my scene, we were actually in his apartment. So he's like, just yell, "Shut the fuck up" at the window. It'll be all right. Open, roll the window open. Shut the fuck up. And I ignited a 9-neighbor fight because someone yelled "shut the fuck up" to me, and then this person said "shut the fuck" to her, and then it went crazy. I threw the window down like, all right, I gotta get out of here.
See, art moves people. Art moves people. It does. No, the very first thing that I ever shot film-wise was I was an extra for. I Craigslist it because I'm a professional.
That's it.
But I got an extra part in a movie called Hell at Heathridge at Kent State.
Oh, wow, okay.
And I was like, film, I've never done it. What's it like? Do I have lines? And they were like, no. I was like, that sounds even better. And then I got there and I was like, oh, cool. I've been here for 13 hours in a costume that's not my size. And I'm in the film for maybe 10 seconds. And I was like, okay, so film, I crave attention. Film's not where it's at for me. So that's why after that one, I was like, I've done a couple other little things, but yeah, film, it's hit or miss for me because I'm like, I want that attention. And if I'm not a great film actor, my face, I'm used to playing to audiences. So when it's just a camera right here, I'm like, I don't know what my eyebrows are doing.
Well, you know, Dangerfield, when he was shooting Caddyshack, he had that same issue because he would, do the jokes that are in the script and everything. And he would, at a moment, go kind of like gray because there's no laughter.
Yeah.
because he's so
Yeah.
used as a stand-up getting that laughter. Even a live performer who's in theater, that live, ooh, ah,
Yeah.
oh, you need that's energy. So when you don't hear
Yeah.
it, you're like, is there something wrong with the show? So he was having that same issue too, and they're
Yeah.
like, no, no, roll, you're doing great. So it,
You're doing fine. I hope.
I
I hope I
hope
am.
that
Don't you lie to me.
that's why I like theater. I like live performance because you get it right away. You know if it's shit or not. You know if it's
Yeah.
if what you're doing is a lie.
Yeah. Well, and that's like even like stand up stuff. I've considered being like I could try stand up, but even like the minute a joke goes flat, I'd be like, "All right, thank you. I have to go drown myself in a bathtub and I will never see any of you again. Goodbye." And it's just like me in front of my parents. So, yeah, I have much respect for anybody that does stand up because although I think I can be funny and am a humorous person, telling jokes that are my own to a room of people terrifies me. So,
It's there's a
kudos
certain
and much
amount of
respect.
narcissism you must have and ego
Yeah.
to look at a drunken bar that you know nobody at and go, you know what would make this night better is if they were all listening to me.
As if I told
If
them
I
jokes about my life.
yeah, if I told
Ugh,
them stories that they were suddenly interested in. Ego. That's it.
ugh, so good. So kind of going off of that, let's talk about. So you host a video cast called At the Grown Ups Table,
Yes.
which, silly me, I was like, I have seen this on my Facebook and I just thought it was like posts. I didn't realize. I'm just an idiot. I didn't realize it was an actual video show, and I was like, well, look at me. I'm such a good host. Um, but it's you and John.
Yes.
What's John's?
John Jacobs. Yep.
John Jacobs. Because I did do some scramble research while I was here, and I was like, no, I do remember seeing these because you guys post things like Super Nintendo versus Sega Genesis,
Yeah.
and just kind of like that the really easy interactive
Yeah.
stuff on Facebook. So talk a little bit about how the Grown Ups Table came to be and kind of what you guys are hoping to do with that.
Well, thank you, John. He followed me on my comedy page on Facebook, Comic Jesse Pimpinella. Got to whore myself. Anyways, so he was following me on there, and I loved what he was throwing in the comment sections. And I posted a picture about my time when I used to host a radio show in Youngstown, Ohio, and he was like, "You know what? You should do it again." I'm like, "Dude, I'm not sure if I got anything more to say." And then he's like, I have stuff to say," and I'm like. I'm like, what do you got? What do you want to talk about? So we bonded over our love of pop culture. We love pop culture, that pop culture jukebox where, we throw out random references, random lines to movies at each other. We big in movies, big in comic books. So we wanted to do a show that focused on one aspect of this pop cultural time in our lives. I mean, comic book movies have never been this big ever. I mean, they're monumental. They're the top grossing movies of all time. So we decided that for every show we'll pick an aspect. So like this week was Shark Week, so we did sharks in cinema. We talked about every movie that has sharks and kind of what you'll see. It's either man versus shark, movies that jump the shark, or nature versus shark. Like this.
Sharknado 1 through 17.
Yep. Well, we talked about those. we talked
Yeah,
about
we've
those.
talked about Tara Reid a couple times on this show, and she hates us. But yeah, you can't do Sharks without Sharknado. It's like half of the shark movies.
Yeah. And this week,
and then Jaws 3, cinematic masterpiece.
Oh yeah. Like this week, we're going to talk about DC's Fandom. They're doing this, I guess, in replacement of San Diego Con. So we're going to talk about like Wonder Woman, Batman, all the stuff that they're going to be revealing and breaking it down. Because this is what me and him talk about. We sit around, we talk about this stuff for fun. We're like, let's get people to join in. So we do everything on StreamYard, so people can comment live as we're doing the show, because we do it on Facebook Live.
Nice.
And StreamYard allows me to do graphics, all this stuff, and be able to comment back. Or if I like a comment, I put it on the screen, and I'm like, all right, let's discuss that. So it's a lot of fun, and the audience really brings that show to life, because I'll have a plan, and those audience members they'll come up with something good to talk about. Like I'll have this whole show about sharks, and then somebody will be like, Would you think about Jason Statham versus a shark, that Megalodon movie? And we're like, let's talk about it. I didn't have that part of the
Let's
plan. No,
let's
let's
do
talk
it.
about it.
Yeah.
And it's and like I said, for me that brings the energy of being on stage as a stand up, the crowd work. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To break the fourth wall. And so that's what we dig the show, and we hope that when COVID-19 ends, we can do live shows in comic book stores and stuff like that. I mean, this is our
Yeah.
passion. We have a lot of fun with this. This is
Yeah.
just joy. So if it could be any more than a passion project, perfect. Make it happen.
I feel like that's how all of us are right now. We're like, if we could just make a little bit of money doing this now,
Yeah,
I'm out. My day job, get out of here. I
exactly.
could do this forever. But no, it was funny you were talking about the live aspect. Even doing this show, like we've done a couple episodes, and I always have to like turn to Shane and Cody, who are like doing stuff over off camera, because I'm like, no, you guys are the audience right now. We're talking about something that, like, what do you guys think? Are we being funny? Is this topical? Is it okay?
React, damn it.
Because yeah, it's just one of those things where there's a group of artists that are like, we crave attention. We need it.
We do. We
Ugh.
and, uh, and and it's for many reasons. I mean, yeah, there is the inherently selfish, we think we're special thing. I mean, it's
Yeah.
there, but also because we like taking, we like amusing people. We like making them smile. We like taking, whatever shitty thing that they came into the room with and let them be able to put it in a box, let them have a good time and
Mm-hmm.
leave. Like when I do my shows, I I 100% never talk about politics. I don't have no interest in it. I don't want to talk about it because it's piped into our phones, it's piped into our computers,
Yeah.
piped into our TVs, it's everywhere. So,
Yeah.
well, let's take a break from it. Let's relax. Let's all laugh. Let's have one thing in common. And the thing that's in common is everybody's laughing at me because I'm an idiot and I do stupid things. And if I can get everybody to unite on that, then my job's done.
Yeah, and I think with stand up specifically, I think it's a really unique dynamic with like stand up and live theater where the audience is going into it, at least with stand up specifically, the audience is going in with the pact to themselves and the stand up that's like, I am here for a comedy show.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's a lot of the comics that I watch are super crass and rude and super offensive, but the people in the audience aren't offended because it's coming from a place of comedy,
Yeah.
and there's that deal there where it's, I know they don't mean this truthfully, it's all for the sake of a joke.
Yeah.
And even if it's a comic that's not super crass or rude or something like that, there's that give and take, whereas theater, it's very one-sided. Comedy, I feel like it's much more a two-way street where you can kind of vibe off that.
Yeah.
So I really admire that about the audience of comedy too. I mean, sometimes people can suck. Have you ever been heckled super bad?
Yeah. Yes. Every
Yeah.
comic has been. And if they say no, they're full of shit. I promise you that. They're so full of shit. Because
So does it tend to be people that are like drunk, or does it tend to be people who like just think you're stupid, or is it people that don't understand what's going on? Like in your case specifically.
okay, so I'll break this down. I have had numerous people heckle before. And 90% of them it's never out of malice. It's never out of
Yeah.
malice. They're doing it because they think they want to join in with me because they're
Yeah.
liking what I'm doing and they want to be a part of it. Or they want to impress their date or they want to do something. And and when I see it's that and they're not and there's no evil behind what they're doing,
Yeah.
I have a manner of how to get them to be quiet. Like, I'll jab them, I'll roast them real quick, and then let's give a hand to this guy. How you doing? I'll ask about his job real quick, and then move on with the show. And then he felt a part of it for a second, and it's like, all right, rock on, And
Yeah.
and there's this kind of social cue where there's 100 people surrounding you, giving you this look of shut the fuck up, and that
Yeah.
usually peer pressures people into not talking. Then there's a 10% where you have someone who's drunk, someone who came in with a bad attitude, wants to ruin everybody's good time, and you got to make that person's night a living hell, and to the best of your ability with a smile on your face.
Yeah. See, that's where I would fall apart. One person says something mean to me, I'd either kill them or cry. Both of which are frowned upon in stand-up comedy. I've heard.
Yeah.
But so how has COVID I'm assuming it's kind of reshaped your path and what you do comedy wise, because as a stand up, you thrive on people watching you and live gigs and stuff like that. So how have you kind of redirected um, what you're doing with comedy from a perspective of there's a pandemic?
Good question. Well, I look at it like this. Right now, we need to laugh as a people. This is the time in our country's history. It is so ridiculously dark. There is no good news in sight anywhere online or on the news or anywhere. It is dark, and so that's why I started doing live shows outside, and we take dozens of measures to keep it safe. And we're very strict with rules, especially if I'm producing. And we bring people out there so they can have a good time and relax because we need this. We need a laugh because the one thing with comedy is you'll have a few shows some days where somebody will come up to you and you'll see that they were bearing a cross coming into that show, but you took it off their shoulders. You know, my butt. I have good stories, but nothing is as good as my buddy's story. His name's Johnny, and he was at a casino and he murdered. I was there. He murdered. Okay, and he gets off stage and we're talking to people after the show, and this guy came up to him and he was a part of a task force for the police, and they were breaking into like these illegal casinos, and there was a shootout. And what was bad was this a dog like that was meant to like rip people's throats out came at him, and he regretfully had to shoot it and put it down. Like it was a gut reaction of it's him or me. And the guy
Yeah.
was saying like I felt like shit all week, dude. I hated myself. I could not believe it happened. But you gave me you gave me an hour of peace, and I appreciate that. And he gave my buddy one of the chips that was in the illegal casino as a memorabilia or like a memento. And my buddy remembers that, because society will fall. You know what I mean? And lawyers and doctors, these are important and noble careers, but the human spirit, it needs to laugh. It needs to be brought joy in order to keep surviving. Ron Williams said this the line from Dead Poet Society. I'm kind of saying it but butchering it horribly. The whole doctors and lawyers, noble careers, those help us sustain life. But love, beauty, poetry, comedy, those give us the reasons to live. And that's why I knew I wanted to get back out there. And everybody's been coming out to shows,
Mm-hmm.
been enjoying it, having a good time, smiling. Oh, this is the first time we've laughed in so long. Oh, this is so wonderful. Can't wait for y'all to come back. And it's so nice to see that, because, I mean, I'm up there. Yeah, I have my ego. I'm like, fucking A, I'm the man. I'm doing the show. I'm telling jokes. I'm making money.
Yeah.
But there is nothing more important than seeing the perspective of how it impacts people, and realizing like this is something more, and
Yeah.
and there's times where I've taken during this COVID-19 stuff, I've taken under my feet to go places because I was like, you know what, I could be grateful now. You'll
Yeah.
karma will come around. They'll take care of me later. Right now, let me go see if I can make some people laugh, and it's good and it's wonderful, truly wonderful.
Yeah, that's how I feel with a lot of. I've been fortunate. Mad Lab has been able to do some things with the pandemic where we've been able to shoot live,
Mm-hmm.
and either live stream or have like a select audience, like reserve tickets. And at first, like when this first happened in like March, I was in a few shows that got canceled, and it was a huge bummer. But then it was like I have all this free time. But then as soon as these things started coming back up, and all of us are starting to get back into these things, we're like, oh, we missed it. Whether it's even if it's if it's not comedy, even if it's drama, it's like I've missed this, and what it does for me, and what it does for other people. So I think that's everybody support your online artists. Everybody
Yeah.
find your favorite people. They're probably doing something online, or deciding they could do a podcast now. Hi, but but Jesse, it's always great talking to you.
Oh, always a pleasure.
I always think I was like, this is gonna be just like a fun. We're gonna talk, and then it gets everyone. I'm like, oh, we're talking about real things.
Oh God,
It's
I didn't
so
mean
nice.
to do that.
It's so
All
nice.
right, dance, monkey, dance. I'm back. Let's do this. Come on. I'll do my tight COVID 5. Let's do this.
Oh my god. Oh my god, your tight COVID 5. I've seen that movie twice.
Gave me viruses
Jesse's-
on my computer, but it's amazing. The cinematography.
Jesse, where can people find you?
Go to jessepimpinella.com and you'll see all my show dates there. I'm always posting stuff online. I'm always active online. So go to my Facebook, Comic Jesse Pimpinella. Just go to Facebook or go to my website. It'll have all the details for you to find me.
Perfect. Jesse, like I said, it's always a pleasure to talk to you.
Great.
We're glad to have you back on the Dallas show.
Yeah.
Make sure you check out At the Grown Ups Table with John and Jesse. You can find it on Facebook. They have a lot of really cool stuff. And Jesse, like I said, always a pleasure.
Always.
And hopefully we have you on again in the future. All right.
Most definitely.
All right. Goodbye.
Bye.
Whoa, what an episode, am I right? This is a thanks for everybody who helped make the Dallas Show and the Dallas Show podcast possible. To all of our backers, thank you very much. Specifically, Kimmer Callahan, thank you so much for everything that you've done to help with Static Copy Island. Thank you for helping produce the Dallas Show. And thank you to, what does it say here? Oh, Dallas, you're welcome. Thank you, you're welcome. Goodbye.